and welcome to the Movies Past and Present podcast. It's February 12th, 2020, and this is episode 40. I'm your host, Stanford Clark, and I'm podcasting from the crossroads of the West in beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah. Just like my blog, moviespastandpresent.com, I'll be providing recommendations, commentary, and reviews about current and classic cinema. Thanks for tuning in, and let's do this thing. Happy Valentine's Day week to you all. And Valentine's Day is this Friday, as you know, and there are 4 major studio releases to choose from if you're planning to go to the movies this weekend with your Valentine. Some of these movies don't seem very Valentine Day-like, or Valentine's Day-like, but hey, no one asked me. So, first up is Sonic the Hedgehog, which is a family action comedy from Paramount Pictures. Sonic the Hedgehog is speeding to theaters for a big screen adventure for the whole family. It's based, of course, on the global blockbuster video game franchise from Sega. And it tells the story of the world's speediest hedgehog as he embraces his new home on Earth. In this live-action adventure comedy, Sonic and his new best friend Tom, who's played by James Marsden, they team up to defend the planet from the evil genius Dr. Robotnik, who in this movie is played by none other than Jim Carrey. And Dr. Robotnik has got evil plans for world domination, so they're busy. Ben Schwartz is the voice of Sonic, and Sonic the Hedgehog is rated PG by the Motion Picture Association for action, some violence, rude humor, and brief mild language. Next up is Downhill, which is a comedy drama from Searchlight Pictures. This movie made its debut at the Sundance Film Festival last month and now is opening in wide release this Friday. It's a remake of a 2014 Swedish film called Force Majeure. Hope I'm saying that correctly. And this English language, American-made version, stars Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Will Ferrell. So, I don't know if you've seen the preview yet for this comedy or not, or again, comedy drama, but after barely escaping an avalanche during a family ski vacation in the Alps, a married couple is thrown into disarray as they are forced to reevaluate their lives and how they feel about each other. So, this, I guess, is a bit of a spoiler alert, although it's given away in the trailer. But this avalanche hits while Will Ferrell, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, these married who play a married couple, and their children are out on a deck of a ski lodge, and this avalanche approaches, and the Will Ferrell character, the father character, abandons the family to go save himself. So, Julia Louis-Dreyfus was actually on the Stephen Colbert show yesterday and was talking to him about this movie, and Colbert asks, every man wonders that, what would I have done if that situation happened to me? And Julia Louis-Dreyfus had a good comment. She said, "We all think we would stay, but what this movie is about is that good people make bad choices. How does one redeem themselves after that moment?" And then Stephen Colbert, of course, has to throw in a joke. And he said, "Yes, it's a great Valentine's Day movie if your relationship is very solid." So anyway, again, kind of an interesting choice for Valentine's Day. But the film played to somewhat mixed reviews at Sundance, but I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think it looks very interesting. So Downhill is rated R by the Motion Picture Association for language and some sexual material. Next up, of course, we have to have a horror film, right, for Valentine's Day. We've got Fantasy Island, which is a horror film from Columbia Pictures. Now, this Fantasy Island is based upon that television series with Ricardo Montalban. And in this film, Mr. Rourke is played by the actor Michael Pena. And, so wait for it. As far as, as this description goes, screams come true in Blumhouse Productions' new spin on Fantasy Island. Blumhouse Productions, as you probably know, is the brainchild of producer Jason Blum. And Blumhouse has been involved with a lot of high-concept, yet low-budget horror films that have just made truckloads and truckloads of money and been wildly popular. Films like Paranormal Activity, The Purge, Insidious, and of course all these have spawned off multiple sequels. Since I don't watch horror films, I'm not well versed in this area. But I know that when there's a Blumhouse Productions logo attached to the picture, you know what you're going to get. You know what you're going to get, which is a horror film. So, a pretty, sometimes pretty graphic horror films, but anyway, a horror film nonetheless. So, this new spin on Fantasy Island, Mr. Rourke makes the secret dreams of his lucky guests come true at a luxurious but remote tropical resort. But when the fantasies turn into nightmares, the guests have to solve the island's mystery in order to escape with their lives. I've seen the previews for it, and again, it really looks like it takes a pretty dark turn. And I know the Fantasy Island TV show somewhat did that too. And I think that, if I'm not mistaken, then there was a remake. Another version of the Fantasy Island TV show that did the same thing, that went for less campy and pretty dark. This version, though, this Blumhouse version, is rated PG-13, so they're going for a little wider audience on it. By the Motion Picture Association for violence, terror, drug content, suggestive material, and brief, strong language. Now, finally, the fourth movie opening up this weekend is actually a romantic drama. So yay, because hello, it's Valentine's Day. This movie is called The Photograph. It's from Universal Pictures. It's from writer-director Stella Meggy, and she also wrote the screenplay. And it's a love story about forgiveness and finding courage to seek the truth, no matter where it will lead you. So it tells a story of a photographer who unexpectedly dies, and this photographer, she's a woman, and she leaves her estranged daughter hurt, angry, and full of questions. But when a photograph that was tucked away in a safe deposit box is found, this daughter, this angry daughter, finds herself on a journey delving into her mother's early life and ignites a powerful, unexpected romance with the rising star journalist. So this stars Issa Rae and Lakeith Stanfield. These are our two, I guess, lovers or potential lovers in the film. And anyway, let's hope that it's a Valentine's Day movie that's going to deliver the goods, because it's really the only one that is kind of a traditional Valentine's Day film. The Photograph is rated PG-13 by the Motion Picture Association for sexuality and brief, strong language. So there you have it. In the new movie roundup, we've got Sonic the Hedgehog, Downhill, Fantasy Island, and The Photograph, all opening up on Valentine's Day this Friday, February 14th. So for reviews, I just want to talk a little bit about the return of the modest budget Disney family film that is happening right now on Disney's streaming service, which, as you know, is called Disney Plus. Now, I grew up on a steady diet of classic Disney films. Of course, the animated motion pictures, played a huge part of my childhood. Films like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Peter Pan, which was one of my all-time favorites. 101 Dalmatians, The Jungle Book, and The Rescuers were all movies that I just loved as a child, and again, really influenced my life. But I also loved, as a kid, live-action Disney films, too. So, and these are films that my mom and dad would take me to see in the theater. But they were also, we watched them together as a family on Sunday nights on the Wonderful World of Disney TV show. These are films like The Love Bug, and of course many multiple sequels that followed. And then also just greats like Swiss Family Robinson, The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes, The Absent-Minded Professor, and The North Avenue Regulars. These were all childhood staples and movies that I loved then and that I love now. So fast forward to today, and the entertainment landscape we live in is really different, of course, as we all know. We've got hundreds, if not thousands, of choices, entertainment choices, every second of the day. And, streaming services play a big part of this right now. And they make it so convenient to watch things, on Netflix and then, of course, Disney Plus. And we can watch some of these great Disney movies just literally at the click of a button. One important thing, though, about Disney Plus and really any of these streaming services and really just any channel or network, in general, is that they rely on content. And many of them rely on just, previously made content. But a lot of them also rely on a combination, like Netflix, relies on a combination of new content, be it a TV series or a, miniseries or documentaries or whatnot, as well as feature films. And Disney Plus is no exception. So really, the advent of Disney Plus is quite a bonus in a couple of ways. And so let me explain. Typically, what the Walt Disney Company seems to be doing now is that they're only releasing these big budget type films in theaters. So, for example, all of those animated remakes that they're doing. Last year we had The Lion King and we had Aladdin, and even Dumbo. But those were all. They spent a lot of money to make them, and then they put them in the theater with the hopes that they were going to get a big return. But smaller films, and I think that the last one we saw was kind of a quiet film. It was called The Queen of Katwe. I think that came out like in 2016. And again, it's a modest budget film. I hate to say low budget because I don't mean that it was, that it's cheap or that it's shoddy quality. I think the quality is good, but it's just, just a more quiet type film. And that's not going to earn all the money that, one of these big, splashy, special effects driven movies is going to earn. But yet still, it makes for a really good outing at the movies. And it's just a good, solid film. So, thankfully, with the advent of Disney Plus, and because of the need for fresh content, thankfully, the Walt Disney Studios, their film division is contributing movies to original or newly created movies to Disney Plus that they probably wouldn't have made at all because again they don't really fit the requirements of having being these big budget, big franchise. Big expensive movies again that are going to have a big return. There was an interview last year done. It was printed in the Hollywood Reporter. They had interviewed Alan Horn, who is co-chairman of the Walt Disney Studios, and the Walt Disney this particular division of Disney is responsible both for the film content that goes in theaters as well as the content that gets made for television. And Alan Horn said, though, that Disney Plus Disney Plus will accommodate both film and television product. So each of the entities that is under my umbrella is charged with the challenge or responsibility of coming up with programming that can go directly to the service. And he thinks, that it's good news because now his codas, who he was going to call one of his studio heads and said, I have good news. You can now make McFarland USA again. That was an example of a wonderful movie that lost money. But this is the perfect vehicle, this meaning Disney Plus, is the perfect vehicle for that kind of movie. So, and I don't know if you saw McFarland USA. It was a sports film and it was really good. But again, kind of, this more modest budget film that's not really splashy and it's more of a kind of a human drama, more of a gentle kind of film, but fantastic. And again, just reminiscent of the kind of Disney movies that I loved as a kid. So thankfully, with Disney Plus, they have the service launched last November, and really about once a month, they're releasing a new film. So first up when the service launched was the comedy Noelle, spelled NOELLE. And I don't know if you saw that one. It was a Christmas show, so again, it was perfect that it came out in November. But it was a light and breezy, family-friendly comedy that starred Anna Kendrick. She played the daughter of Kris Kringle, who was just trying to keep the family together. Her brother, who was played by Bill Hader, was taking over the role of being Kris Kringle, but instead goes AWOL. And so it's up to Noelle to save Christmas and to save her family. Anyway, it wasn't great, but it was cute. The other thing that they put out there on Disney Plus, and I really don't want to talk about it that much, but they did at launch, they produced a live action version of I can't even believe I'm calling it a live action version, although it was live action / computer generated imagery version of Lady and the Tramp. So they had filmed actual dogs, of course, in an environment with actual actors, but it was horrible. Hated it. But then again, I'm not a fan of these remakes, but that's another story for another day. So then in January, or it might have even been late December, but they released the film Togo on Disney Plus, which was a really stunning action drama starring Willem Dafoe. It's based on a true story of that winter in 1925 where there was a deadly epidemic in Nome, Alaska, and the only way to get the cure there was through using sled dogs. And so this particular guy that Willem Dafoe plays, his name is Leonhard Seppala. He and his sled dogs, led by one of his more rambunctious dogs named Togo, really kind of defy all odds and are able to serve this mission. One interesting thing about this story is the dog that we're all familiar with is Balto. You probably have heard the story of Balto. Isn't there? I think there's even a statue of Balto in New York City. But according to this story, really we need to be grateful to Togo. And I won't try not to give too much away. But anyway, it's a really solid movie, beautifully crafted and compelling, and again, just great for families. And then last week, for February's movie, Disney Plus released TIMMY FAILURE, Mistakes Were Made, which is a comedy, a family comedy based on a book series. The author's name is Stephen Pastis, and he's written, I guess, a few of these TIMMY FAILURE books. So Mistakes Were Made is one of them, and that's what this movie is based on, is that particular title. And also, though, they brought in Stephen Pastis to co-write the screenplay too. But it's such a cute little movie. TIMMY FAILURE is this very confident but somewhat clueless 11-year-old kid who forms his own detective agency in Portland, Oregon. He has got an imaginary polar bear as his partner, who he's named Total. And so the name of his detective agency is Total Failure Incorporated. But so needless to say, the kid's a bit of an oddball, and the adults in his life, including his mother, who's a single mother, and teachers at school and counselor at school or whatnot, and the mother's boyfriend, or at least the guy who's trying to date his mom, or I'll try to help him out. But it's again, I think it just hits all the right notes, where it's funny, it's charming, engaging for kids and adults, and just kind of that sweet spot that Disney's so good at doing, really, to appealing to a wide demographic with the same movie. Coming next month on Disney Plus for their actual movie is a teen drama called Stargirl. It's based on a novel by Jerry Spinelli. I don't know much about it other than it's a teen drama, but still, I think it's great that the family, the modest budget family feature has returned on Disney Plus, and I think that's just a big win for us all. Speaking of the classic Disney family film, for Classic Cinema Corner, I had a fun night last week, with some of my friends, and we get together occasionally just for a movie night, and often we'll do it like on a Friday night, so we don't have to worry about work the next day, but and we'll often do a double feature, and often it's themed. So we did a themed double feature of sci-fi movies. And sci-fi movies that either not all of us had seen or just we haven't seen for a while. So first up was kind of a random pick, but it's on Disney Plus, and so I just thought I'd talk about these and maybe give you a couple of ideas if you're looking for some classic movies to watch. We watched Flight of the Navigator, which is a film from 1986, and again it's on Disney Plus. And this film was directed by Randall Kleiser, who is the director of the film adaptation of Grease. And so, again, kind of a different style of film, but it's about it's a sci-fi picture and kind of a mystery. It's about this ordinary boy. They live in Florida. He lives in Florida with his mom and dad and his brother. And one night, mysterious event happens to him, and it turns out that he disappears for a few years. But he doesn't age. When he finally comes back, everybody else has aged, and he's still the same, the same age he was as when he disappeared. But so something was up, and it turns out that there's some aliens involved, and there's some mystery to be solved and some work to do. But it's a fun adventure movie. I hadn't seen this for forever, and I hardly remembered anything about it. But it stars in a supporting role a very young Sarah Jessica Parker. It's fun to see her in it. But really, kind of the star of the show is a robot that's on this spaceship, and it's voiced by Paul Rubens, also known as Pee Wee Herman. In the credits, it lists the name as Paul Mall, M-A-L-L, but it's Pee Wee Herman, slash Paul Rubens. But really enjoyed watching that, and that might be something fun for you to check out on Disney Plus if you're so inclined. Then we watched the great sci-fi comedy Galaxy Quest. This is from 1999. This is from DreamWorks Pictures. And as you may recall, it stars Tim Allen, Alan Rickman, Sigourney Weaver, Tony Shalhoub, Sam Rockwell's in it, Daryl Mitchell, Enrico Colantoni. I hope I'm saying your name right, Enrico. But it's that Star Trek spoof. If you haven't ever seen it, but it's Galaxy Quest was a was a classic TV show, in this movie. And then these actors, Tim Allen plays like the Captain Kirk role, and they all have their roles or their inspirations based on Star Trek characters. But these actors' lives now, they are all just bored to death and just kind of stuck because all they're doing is going to fan conventions and just kind of going through the motions. But nothing really is exciting or really great is happening in their lives, and they're all kind of mad at each other and frustrated. But it turns out that this actual alien race that's in big trouble, they see this TV show. They go through however transmission or however they've been able to watch it, and they've based a lot of their own defenses and spaceship design and whatever on this, and they go to Earth to try to get these people who they believe are real. They don't understand the whole concept of actors. To actually go into outer space with them and help them fight off their enemies who are really threatening their existence. It is so funny, played for laughs. There's some good, there's some tender stuff in it too. Again, good pacing, but just hilarious and highly recommended if you've never seen Galaxy Quest, and particularly if you're familiar with the construct of Star Trek. The Star Trek TV series and movies. So anyway, Flight of the Navigator and Galaxy Quest made for a fun sci-fi movie night with my friends. Well, that does it for this episode of the Movies Past and Present podcast. Again, links and more information about all of the movies discussed in today's podcast can be found in the podcast notes on my blog at moviespastandpresent.com. As always, I hope you will enjoy some good movies this week, whether they be from the past or the present. Until next time, thanks for listening, and see you at the movies.